EU leaders have arrived in Ukraine in a show of support on the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion.
Volodymyr Zelensky said he would be willing to step down as president if it meant peace in Ukraine and NATO membership.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia's attack on Saturday night was the largest drone attack on the country since Russia's war began.
CDU Chancellor candidate Friedrich Merz declares victory in federal elections as Scholz's SPD appear on track to have their lowest ever result.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition and has shown early signs of kidney insufficiency as the 88-year-old pontiff battles pneumonia and a complex lung infection. European leaders, including EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, arrived in Kiev on Monday to show support on the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The visit comes at a time when US policies on Russia and Ukraine shift under President Donald Trump.
The visit of Ursula von der Leyen and the College of Commissioners comes at a critical time for Ukraine. Donald Trump's big push to launch negotiations with Russia has appended 3 years of political unity between Western allies. Can Brussels catch up with the fast-paced diplomacy of Washington? So far, the question remains unanswered. However, Ursula von der Leyen is determined to keep support for Ukraine going. First, financial support for the budget. Second, military support for the Ukrainian army. And third, emergency assistance to repair the energy infrastructure, which Russia continues to bombard. Jorge Liboreiro, Euronews, Kiev.
I walked exactly same streets of Kiev 3 years ago in the first hours of Russia's full-scale invasion, and the atmosphere back then was completely different from the way it feels now. There was lots of shock, there was lots of frustration, and there was lots of fear. The streets here in Kiev were empty as people were hiding and staying in the bomb shelters. Now, today in February 2025, the atmosphere is completely different. Kiev is welcoming today 13 world leaders and the European Commission who are here to show their support to Ukraine. What has not changed is this feeling of resilience and also the feeling of determination of the Ukrainians to continue defend their country from Russia's war of aggression 3 years on. Sasha Vakulina from Kyiv for Euronews.
Speaking on the eve of the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky said he would be willing to step down if it meant peace and NATO membership. He also called for further security guarantees from both Europe and the US. Several top European and international leaders, including President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, will commemorate 3 years of war in Kyiv on Monday. When asked by Euronews' Sasha Vakulina which decisions would be made during this visit, the Ukrainian leader did not give away any details but said he was adamant over certain decisions to be made regarding support for the country.
Я зосереджуюсь на пакетах підтримки, і там конкретні речі, конкретні суми, конкретна зброя, конкретні санкції проти Росії.
French President Emmanuel Macron, UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, on the other hand, will have separate meetings at the White House to put Europe back at the center of Ukraine's peace talks. Zelensky admitted that Ukraine may be forced to sign an economic agreement with the US if it would ensure continued aid for the country, but said he would not sign a deal that will be paid off by 10 generations of Ukrainians.
Authorities in Ukraine say Russia attacked the country on Saturday night with a barrage of drones that President Zelensky called the single biggest assault since Moscow's invasion began almost 3 years ago. A record 267 Russian drones were launched, according to Ukraine's Air Force Command. Emergency services reported destruction in several regions overnight.
Повиходили, всі цілі, діти цілі. Почали роздивлятися руйнування. Вікна, дах.
The strikes came on the eve of the third anniversary of the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it was the largest drone attack on the country since Russia began using Iranian-made drones.
More than 80% of Germany's almost 60 million eligible voters cast their ballots in Sunday's federal election. Exit polls released shortly after vote counting began indicated that frontrunner CDU candidate Friedrich Merz was on course to win 28.5% of the vote.
Herzlichen Dank für das Vertrauen, das Sie uns und das Sie auch mir persönlich geben. Ich weiß um die Verantwortung. Ich weiß auch um die Dimension der Aufgabe, die jetzt vor uns liegt. Ich begegne dem mit größtem Respekt und ich weiß, dass es nicht einfach werden wird.
The big disappointment of the night was reserved for outgoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz, whose party, the Social Democrats, secured only 16% of the vote, their lowest ever result in a federal election.
Das ist ein bitteres Wahlergebnis für die Sozialdemokratische Partei. Das ist auch eine Wahlniederlage. Das, finde ich, muss bei dem Ergebnis einmal am Anfang klar und deutlich gesagt werden. Und für mich ist auch ganz wichtig zu sagen, das ist ein Ergebnis, aus dem wir gemeinsam nach vorne gehen müssen.
Far-right AfD candidate Alice Weidel is on course to win just over 20% of the vote, making significant gains and doubling their results from the last election in 2021.
Wir haben uns verdoppelt. Man wollte uns halbieren. Das Gegenteil ist eingetreten. Und ich muss eins sagen, unsere Hand wird immer ausgestreckt sein für eine Regierungsbeteiligung. Den Willen des Volkes, den Willen Deutschlands umzusetzen. Wir sind bereit für eine Regierungsbeteiligung.
Friedrich Merz will be given the mandate to govern when official results are announced. And with no candidate securing an absolute majority, Germany is headed towards another coalition government. Over the coming days and weeks, the CDU-CSU union candidate will engage in talks with other parties to establish a coalition and lead a new government.
Speed matters. Because that's maybe now the biggest task, and I did some things for myself. It's a possibility that it's possible for the CDU-CSU to have a coalition with only the Social Democrats. If the Bündnis Sarah Wagenknecht will not enter the parliament, it's maybe enough to have 29 and 16% to get the majority of the seats in the parliament. And that could be the fundament of a quick coalition.
George Papandreou.
I would say speed too, but at the same time do it in a strategic way for Europe. We are facing major challenges and the issues of our European existence are on the table. This is it is necessary to really think about how Europe is going to be moving forward. So yes, a government in Germany, but this also has to mean the big issues that we really have to deal with in changing Europe for the better, more unified, more strong, and more confident.
This is a very paradoxical election because at once it is more or less business as usual in the sense that we're going to have a change of chancellor, but more or less the same quasi-permanent coalition of Christian Democrats, Social Democrats with the splattering of the Greens, the same coalition that, in my estimation, in my judgment, put Germany on a long road towards stagnation for the last 15, 20 years. Our European leaders, including your guest, resemble headless chickens running around in panic, in total and utter disarray. That was the inevitable outcome of 15, 20 years of paying lip service to solidarity when all they were doing was imposing harsh austerity on the peoples of Europe.
One thing is absolutely certain. There are mistakes made in Europe, for sure. But it's also clear that this particular project is a project that is giving more prosperity, more social cohesion to our people. But it doesn't mean that everything is perfect, not at all. And it means that today, and we made this point several times tonight, today, again, we need to make clear choices. We need to make clear decisions on the future. And again, I'm absolutely convinced on my side that economic development, industrial base, indeed, less regulation, a better regulation, this is the choice we have to make. And certain element, if we want not only to be a playground for others, but if we want to be master of our European destiny in the future, we need to invest much more in defense, in security, and we need to make it together.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition and has shown early signs of kidney insufficiency, said the Vatican on Monday. The 88-year-old pontiff is battling pneumonia and a complex lung infection, but remains alert and was able to attend Mass on Sunday. In their latest update, the Vatican said he hadn't had any more respiratory crises since Saturday night, but was still receiving high flows of supplemental oxygen. Some blood tests showed initial mild kidney failure, but doctors said it was under control. They said Francis's condition is touch and go, given his age, fragility and pre-existing lung disease, and that the main threat facing the Pope is sepsis, a serious infection of the blood that can occur as a complication of pneumonia. Meanwhile, prayers for Francis poured in from around the world over the weekend, from his native Argentina to school children in Rome.